Hello, fellow YouTubers, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. On the last episode, we headed into Gant's office to get a good look at it and found a giant organ, but Gant kind of kicked us out immediately after we entered. But we did see a picture of Neil Marshall with the Chief Prosecutor, the King of Prosecutors trophy. But we ran into Gumshoe because we need to find another way to get inside there, and he kind of told us that we need to use a detective card in order to get in there, but he won't help us because he could get fired. So, on this episode, we need to try and find something that will let Gumshoe let us in. Something that would be worth losing his job over. So, there's only one thing I could think of that Gumshoe would be that obsessed about, or that upset about. So we are going to move over to... Well, Marshall's gone. Pretty sure he's going to be gone until the credits. We're going to move over to the underground parking lot. No one's here today. Not even Miss Starr.
Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are.
But we proved in court today that no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime.
Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case.
But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty, which doesn't explain why they're not here.
Hang in there, Lana.
I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. They're starting to fill up. I mean, we know a lot more now than we did before. The car is still taped up. How has Edgeworth been getting back and forth home? And those other cars, because it's been a couple days. Those are the same cars. How does this entire system work? Oh, whatever. But we're going to move. We're going to move up to the High Prosecutor's office. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet.
There he is! It looks like he's writing something.
Huh? What are you doing here?
He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. I was close. Tough day in court, huh?
I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me?
Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you.
That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. Aww.
So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day.
Oh, thank you, Edgeworth. I know you're grumpy, but don't take it out on me. So, we're going to talk with him. He has a couple things: forged evidence, tomorrow's trial, and the day of the crime. Ooh, boy, let's start with the hot topic.
There's no excuse for what I've done.
Oh, God, my throat.
2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I do can erase that fact.
But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that the evidence was falsified.
The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error, my responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same, no matter what excuses I might have.
Mr. Edgeworth.
I take pride in my work. So tell me why? Why is it all come to this?
Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. I would be mad too, because that's like something that'd be like going against your code. Tomorrow's trial, it's the last day. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? Because if you're not, you can just give up.
First last year's trial, and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves.
But, Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial.
Tomorrow's the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this.
I can't get deep today with my voice. What do you mean?
That list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long.
It's only half as long as most lists? That is odd.
After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but at the time there was only one thing on my mind. I'd use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty.
Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time.
That picture. Something seems strange about it. I'm out of water? How'd that happen? Well, we'll show him the picture in just a moment, but let's find a little bit more about the day of the crime. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered. You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right?
I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one.
Because you were awarded this?
Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department.
You finished up at the office?
Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back.
Take something back?
This.
Oh, yeah! Chief can't ask you to hold on to that, didn't he?
Yes, there was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago.
Which might be Turnabout Sisters.
He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office.
That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to?
That's right.
Well, we're gonna show him that picture now of Gant and Marshall. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. The only color picture in existence.
Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy.
Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me.
Yes.
The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours.
Yes, you're right. I remember now.
Remember what?
That was the official prosecutor trophy used until that time.
Oh god, what just happened to my voice? With a little bit of water I drank to clear everything up.
There's a story behind it.
A story?
Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us?
It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on.
What does he mean by that? So there should be a new thing to talk to him about. Yep, prosecutor trophy.
This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with two characters. The first means halberd, then the second means shield. Have you heard the story?
Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though, for Emma's sake?
Very well. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with two items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon.
Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. I got the music's playing in the background. Plus, he had to shout objection out loud. Like, probably right in Edgeworth's face.
Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard the story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus, the Chinese word for contradiction was born.
Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and the broken knife symbolize.
Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion. Even if it results in something as ugly as this.
Wow. Thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today.
That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield?
You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished.
Chief Gant. And so the prosecutor's trophy will be updated. Oop. So, we're pretty much done here except for one thing. We're gonna examine the room. I mean, there's the prosecutor's trophy right up there. That's a statue of the Seal Samurai. But it's the piece of paper that he threw underneath his desk that we're most involved in. I wonder what he was writing before.
Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look.
Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right here. Right there.
Just distract him. I'll check it out.
Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground.
Hold on. First, let me see what this girl's doing crawling around my feet.
He didn't even look. It wasn't a good lie, Phoenix.
What? The letter of...
If you can't read, I'll read it for you. It says, letter of resignation.
Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean...
I'm tired, Mr. Wright. I feel as if something inside me has died.
But, Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault.
I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either.
Uh-oh. I think he's serious.
Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something.
This letter of resignation. I wonder if I could use it for anything. And so we're gonna steal it. It doesn't even care that we took it. But we're gonna call it an episode here. I think this is a good spot to call it an episode. So we are going to, we're gonna call it an episode here. So in the next episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, we're gonna try and find someone that might be able to use this letter of resignation for something. So until next time, hopefully you enjoy. So, little backstory on just what happened. His dark energy dissertation originally only gives us 1 point. But he saw there that it wasn't 1 point. It was like 4 or 5. And there's a couple steps that he said that he needed to do. First, he needed to talk with Hassel. And if we didn't help Hassel during the Pharos mission on Mass Effect 1, he wouldn't have responded. Then the next thing was he needed to